I've been sitting here for a while, thinking about how to begin. Because when you're honest with yourself, you realize there isn't really a clean beginning to a story like this. It doesn't start with a big mistake or a moment you can point to. It starts quietly, so quietly you don't even notice it happening. But I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to pretend anymore. And if sharing this helps you, even a single person, avoid the mistakes I made, then it's worth it. My name is Daniel, and for most of my life, I believed I was a good man. Not perfect, but I believed I was good. I worked hard. I showed up every day. I didn't drink too much, didn't cheat, didn't disappear for days at a time. Basically, I didn't have the kinds of habits I saw in irresponsible people. I had a wife who loved me deeply, but she wasn't loud about it. And I wasn't the kind of person who was very expressive either. But she had this way of showing love in the smallest things, like making sure I ate, asking about my day, remembering the things I forgot. We had 2 kids who filled the house with noise, energy, life. I remember coming home from work and hearing their rushed, excited voices before I even opened the door. I never, even in my wildest dreams, could have imagined that one day those sounds would go away. I assumed they were permanent. I assumed the noise, the chaos, the life inside that house would always be there, waiting for me. But I didn't realize how easy it was to slowly drift away from the very life you were trying to protect. Back then, I believed being a good man meant being responsible. It meant getting up before the sun, putting my boots on, going to work whether I felt like it or not, paying the bills on time, and making sure nothing fell apart. I figured if I could just hold all that together, the rest would somehow fall into place. After all, that's what I was taught. That's what I watched my father do, even if he never said it out loud. I didn't grow up in a house where feelings were something you talked about over the dinner table. My father wasn't a cruel man, not by a long shot, but he was distant, like there was always a wall he never quite stepped away from. He worked hard, came home tired, ate his supper, and kept his thoughts tucked away where no one could touch them. I watched him do that for years, and without even realizing it, I learned to do the same. I learned that emotions were something you carried quietly, like a weight in your pocket, something that wasn't meant to be shared. It was meant to be endured. So when life started to feel heavy, I did what I'd always done. I kept going. I remember coming home after long days, my head full of stress I didn't know how to explain or share. My wife would ask how I was doing, and I'd say, "I'm fine," without really thinking about it. She'd look at me for a moment longer than necessary, like she was waiting for something else. But I didn't know how to give it to her. She tried, though. She really tried. She'd sit next to me on the couch and ask about my day or tell me about hers. Sometimes she'd laugh. Sometimes she'd sound tired. I'd nod along, half listening, half already somewhere else in my head. I told myself I was just tired. I told myself it was normal, that everyone felt like this after a long day. But slowly, those small moments started slipping away. I spent more time thinking about work, talking with friends, than talking to her or playing with my kids. I was physically there, but emotionally, I was somewhere I didn't even know. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I really didn't. I just thought I had to be working every second of my life. There's one moment I still think about. My daughter was young, maybe 6 or 7. She came into the living room holding a drawing she'd made at school. She was proud of it. I could tell by the way she held it out toward me. I remember sitting on the couch, reading the client file, barely looking up. I told her, "That's nice, sweetheart. I'll look in a minute." She stood there for a solid 10 minutes, Then she quietly turned around and walked away, and I didn't even notice her. At the time, I didn't think of it as anything important, but years later, every now and then, that moment comes back to me with a weight I can't explain. My wife tried to talk to me about it. She'd say she felt alone, even when I was right beside her. She told me she missed me. I wish I could say I listened, that I took her seriously, but I didn't. I thought she was being emotional. I thought she was asking for too much. I thought love was supposed to be easier than this. So I pulled back instead of leaning in. I started coming home late, even when I had nothing important going on. Not because I had to, but because it was easier than coming home and facing the quiet tension I had helped create. And the more I avoided it, the wider the distance grew. There was a night I still replay in my head. We were sitting at the kitchen table after the kids had gone to bed. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that settles in your chest and doesn't leave. She looked at me and said, "I feel like I'm doing this alone." I remember feeling defensive. I remember thinking, I'm right here. I haven't gone anywhere. But she wasn't talking about my body. She was talking about my presence. She started crying, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like she didn't have the energy to fight anymore. And instead of holding her, I shut down. I thought this was never supposed to happen, so I didn't know how to react other than closing myself off. And over time, she stopped trying. The conversations stopped, the questions stopped, and I mistook that silence for peace. For years, she stayed like that. And when my kids turned 15 and 18, she left with them. When she finally told me she was leaving, I was stunned. I remember saying, "I don't understand. I didn't do anything." She looked at me for a long time before she answered, and then she said, "That's exactly the problem." After she left, the house felt wrong. Not empty, but hollow, like all the warmth had been drained out of it. The kids came around at first. We talked, but it felt a little forced. They didn't open up the way they used to, and slowly, without any big argument or dramatic goodbye, they drifted away too. That's when the loneliness really settled in. I had spent so much of my life avoiding discomfort, and now it was all I had left. I replayed moments over and over in my head. The times I could have listened more, the times I could have worked less, the times I could have chosen connection instead of convenience. I realized something then, something I wish I had known earlier. And for anyone watching this, I want you to take this with you. Love doesn't disappear all at once. It fades when it isn't tended to. And now, I see so many people living the way I did. Always busy, always distracted, always tired. We tell ourselves we're doing our best, and maybe we are, but sometimes our best still leaves the people we love feeling alone. These days my life is quieter. I walk a lot. I think a lot. I sit with memories I used to avoid. Some days are peaceful. Some days hurt more than I expected they would. But I finally understand something I wish I had learned sooner. Being present matters more than being perfect. Listening matters more than fixing. And love needs attention, not just intention. If you're watching this and something feels uncomfortably familiar, please don't ignore it. Talk to your partner. Sit with your kids. Put the phone down. Ask how they really are, and stay long enough to hear the answer. Because one day, the house might get quiet, and you'll realize the silence didn't happen all at once. It happened one small moment at a time.